are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
It's time to steer the line.
Touchdown!
Sports betting, fantasy football, and the latest NFL news. Featuring Loud Esmond, Christian Giordani, Rocky Giordani, and Jeremy James. Bet on us to make you a better.
What?
Let's get ready to steer the line.
Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to another segment of Steer Line. I'm your host, Christian Giordani. We have Mr. Loud Esmond, Mr. Rocky Giordani, and Mr. Jeremy James.
And I'm going to pull a Rocky right at the top of the show and just hijack the whole damn thing.
I lost
say, shout out to my St. Mary's Gales, the Gales of St. Mary's, Gaels, won their first-round NCAA championship basketball game today, beating VCA and advancing to the round of 32. So go Gales! All right,
go Gales. I am going to hijack the show, but I'm waiting to the last minute of it. So right now, the NFL offseason is
Well, wait a minute.
crazy.
I wanted to hijack the show.
Hijack the show, Jeremy.
I just want to say happy St. Patty's Day to all my Irish brothers and sisters.
And Loud Esmond's birthday on St. Patrick's Day.
Yes, Loud Esmond's birthday as well. There you go.
Two excuses to get drunk. One beer,
no green beer. No green beer, please. Okay.
No, green
no
beer.
Green
That's
I've had enough green beer, green cake.
for rookies.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
So I'm wearing a white T-shirt today, guys, because I was late for the show. I was all the way out in Lake Elsinore. I had to get a
Talking
smog
about fashion right now, man.
Tony Delgado, way to go. Riviera smog check. Took me up, man.
All right.
They made it back.
All right, let's go into the NFL, man. The hot stove was cooking, was it not, guys?
Christian, tell Lou who the new quarterback for the Raiders is. I want to
Oh, yeah. Jeremy, how do you feel
I
about...
want to give a shout out to Sal's Pizza.
Yeah,
Sal's going to deliver the pizza to my
guys
house
will take
tonight.
care of you. You gotta give him a shout out. Way to go, Sal's.
Thanks to the grocery store that
right,
sold me
Sal?
this Diet Dr. Pepper.
All right, let's get into actual football, guys. So we had a really, really, really crazy week in the offseason. A lot of trades, a lot of signings, a lot of people going different places.
And a lot of stuff not happening, which is kind of crazy. Go ahead.
So the Las Vegas Raiders finally got their guy. How do you feel about it,
They
Jeremy?
did.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Hey, I mean, it was kind of writing on the wall. This sort of seemed like it was going to happen. Yeah, heading into free agency week, there were reports that, they're not actually looking at him. They're going to I wasn't shocked at all when he was signed. It's not a improvement. I think it's a kind of a lateral move. He's a kind of guy who's a good quarterback if he's got a defense to back him up, but they don't have the defense to give him a bunch of extra wins that he got in San Francisco. So it'll be interesting.
And now he doesn't. And now Jimmy Garoppolo, who did his best work throwing over the middle or dating porn stars, whichever you want to, he's got Derek Carr there on that one. He's one porn star ahead.
Vegas is his city.
His best throwing was over the middle, and the Raiders just basically dumped Darren Waller, which is mind-boggling to me. Can you explain that move, Jeremy?
31 years old.
30.
Will be 31 by the start of the season. Missed a lot of time last year and the year before. He was actually in discussions during the Devontae Adams trade last year with Green Bay. They thought they might move him at that point, but it didn't happen. Again, the thing that bothered me, I woke up to that the first thing on my TV that morning was that trade. So I was shocked for about 5 minutes, and then I realized why they did it. And a lot of people are upset that it was for a third-round pick. I mean, an aging tight end who hasn't played a full season in 2 years, but still has some juice. I get it. And that gives the Raiders a fourth pick in the top 100. So I'm good with it.
But a 30-year-old quarterback who hasn't played a full season in 4 years.
Yeah.
That's okay.
They're playing tug and go with this guy, man.
Yeah.
He's making mistake after mistake.
I still think they're going to – it may not be in the top or the first round, but I still think they're going to grab a quarterback in the draft. Maybe bring in another veteran behind Jimmy G after the draft is over. So they know that someone else is going to be playing quarterback at some point this season.
Okay, let me just point something out since we're a show all about gambling. The Raiders going into the offseason were plus 1,000 in the basement to win the AFC West, with the Broncos at plus 500, the Chargers at plus 325, and the Chiefs at minus 155. After all the moves, the Raiders are now 200 points worse, plus 1,200 to win the division, Broncos plus 450, Chargers plus 340, Chiefs minus 149.
I mean, the Raiders are going to need to bring in a tight end, obviously, to replace Waller, and I think that'll happen in free agency and or the draft as well. But the signing of Myers, I think is a good signing as a guy opposite of Devontae. I know he's more of a slot guy, but they kept Renfro, so they're going to have both those guys who can work the middle very well for Garoppolo.
I've actually heard that Renfro is being shopped. That's why they brought Myers in.
Well, Renfro's contract was fully guaranteed as of 1:00 today, our time. So they didn't trade him before that deadline kicked in. So we'll see.
Yeah. I'll just throw this out there. It doesn't look like the Raiders' brain trust has an overall plan. It looks at they're going move by move, and that's never a good sign, Rocky.
Right. Well, listen, just to be really clear, the Raiders dumped Derek Carr, and they hired Jimmy Garoppolo. I wanted to be in Lou's living room when he got that news to watch him have that stroke, but we missed it. But it doesn't.
I've moved on.
Twitch.
I've moved on.
Okay.
I'm okay.
Yeah,
but hopped in the backseat with Carr
before you moved on. Mm-hmm. Now, I want to take the other side.
Speaking of Derek Carr.
Yeah, you have to.
Speaking of Derek Carr, let me just put this out there. When Derek Carr was signed by the Saints, Michael Thomas, 2 years ago, one of the best receivers in the league, had a lingering injury he needed to get cleaned up. A lot of rumors he was mad at the Saints. The Saints were mad at him. He put out a tweet, TF God, when Carr was brought in as quarterback, and he has now re-signed a one-year prove-it deal for $10.6 million with the Saints, and the Saints got 2 defensive linemen to shore up their internal defensive line problems stopping the run, and guess what? They got the best running back outside of Josh Jacobs, signing Jamal Williams from Detroit, who led the league in touchdowns last year from the running back position with 17. They've got a decent tight end. They have Chris Olave. Their offensive line is okay. Their defense is top 5. They just added a couple of pieces. And let's just see what the odds makers think.
You hijacked me there, Loud.
Tampa Bay plus 500 to win that division. Atlanta plus 400. Panthers plus 270. Saints have moved since Carr was signed from plus 175 to plus 115 to win that division.
Okay, we all like Derek Carr at the Saints. We all think he's going to do well there. His time in Las Vegas was up. He's going to do great in Las Vegas. I love it. It's going to be a great move. But let's get back to what happened in Las Vegas. All right? I think Jimmy G. Now, last year I said when they brought on McDaniels, the Carr was his days were numbered. Nobody believed me. 2 games left in the season. He didn't have a locker in that locker room. I'm saying Jimmy G takes the Raiders to the playoffs. Make of it what you want.
Oh, my God.
But it's not over. Okay, you laughed at me. You laughed at me beginning last season when I said Carr was on his way out. I like Carr in New Orleans. I like Jimmy G in Las Vegas.
Oh.
Look, man, I love the Raiders. They're my third team. But Jimmy G did not take those San Francisco Niners to the Super Bowl and to those championship games. They took him there.
Right.
Let's be clear.
He did enough.
You guys keep hating. I made my prediction.
The odds makers are rarely that wrong.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Look, the odds makers had the Raiders to win everything last year.
No, they didn't.
They did after they got Devontae Adams.
No. They were still third. The only team that was ahead of that was behind them to win that division was Denver, according to the odds makers. The favorites were Kansas City, the Chargers, and then the Raiders, and then Denver. Denver has now leapfrogged them.
We're going to have to wait till it plays out.
We're just talking about two poverty franchises at this point now, man.
I wait to see what happened to Carr, and I was right. Let's see what happens to the Raiders, and I believe they're going to be a playoff team, and they're going to do well.
I love Rocky's optimism. I do, and as a Raider fan, but I got to say they have not done enough yet on defense to make a difference. They're going to have a really good draft, and they brought in bodies so far. They haven't brought any difference makers or anyone who's really going to do much. They brought in guys to fill holes.
And how long with Devontae Adams being wide open 30 yards down the field and Jimmy G checks it down, is that going to work?
I think Devontae's going to run a lot of different kind of routes with Jimmy G there. You'll see Devontae working out of the slot a lot too.
Okay.
At playoffs.
All right.
Let's go to the Rams, shall we?
I need to take this one, man. Jalen Ramsey was my favorite player in the Rams since he got there, and now he got traded as well for a third-round pick and a third-string tight end. And I got to get a new jersey, man. I got to get a new jersey.
I'll tell you what, being that you're 0-4 in the fantasy football league for XFL, I know it's not us going to be buying you one.
Yep.
So just throwing it out there. The Rams, the report that I saw today said the Rams are in full sell mode. They won they won the Super Bowl. That has done very well for the fandom in LA. They've sold a lot of long-time season tickets. People are filling up that stadium, and now ownership feels comfortable that they can suck for a few years, recoup some money, and then start the rebuild. That's what I hear. Rocky?
Yeah, they're definitely in a rebuild mode. They have their core players that are safe. I think they're going to be all right, but I think it's going to take a little time. But I trust our GM, and I trust our coach, and I trust AD Aaron Donald, and I trust Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp, and those are the only three guys that are staying.
Speaking of Aaron Donald,
everybody else might be gone.
Go ahead.
Speaking of Aaron Donald, did you see the story where his college coach said Aaron Donald is ruining a lot of defensive linemen in college because they won't get as fat as they want them to be, defensive tackles?
Yeah.
Because Aaron Donald only weighs this, and look how well he's done in the NFL. So they're telling their strength and conditioning coaches, I don't want to weigh above 300 pounds. And they're saying, no, you need to weigh 350. And the coach called out Aaron Donald and said, this is Aaron Donald's fault. Christian.
I don't hate it.
To be a generational talent.
Right.
Hey, man, if you can get to where Aaron Donald is right now, props to you. But he's the exception that proves the rule. You're right. But yeah, the Rams are in full sell mode. No one's safe except for Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford as of right now. Aaron Donald's willing to be on the trade block. He's going to go somewhere. He's not going to retire a Ram, and that's for sure.
Yeah, he will. Listen, you guys have to understand. It's all about business, but he's got heart, and they're not going to let him go anywhere. I told you Deebo Samuels wasn't going anywhere. Nobody listened to me. I'm telling you, Aaron Donald is not going anywhere.
Well, the thing is, at some point, if they keep having to drop players over the next year or two, and they don't have a lot of good defensive players around Aaron Donald for him to make a big difference, that's when you move someone like that for some draft picks, get younger, and actually do, trading someone like him can really put you into a good full rebuild mode. Because you're
someone who's on
good picks.
Someone who's on theoretically their last year of their contract with a player exception in the next year. Are you going to let him retire and get nothing for him? Or are you going to trade him for some assets, some future first-round picks, some young prospects, some dudes? Less need. If you don't trade Aaron Donald, Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford, all these guys, you're messing up. You bought your chip, and I pride you for it. I want your job, but you did your job better. But time to sell, time to tank, and embrace it. There's nothing worse than being a mediocre team.
There is going to be a contending team that has a need on defense midway through the NFL season, and it's going to get very attractive before the trade deadline to try to make a move for somebody like him.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
he's
throw a
not
couple of
moving
first round picks at
He's
him.
not moving his family from LA. He's not uprooting his kids for one season. It's the last year of his. He's going to retire.
With all respect,
Listen, they're going to build around him.
Does he have a no trade clause?
no, he does not.
Okay, if
Go
he
ahead.
doesn't have a no trade clause,
Yeah.
then who gives a rat's ass what he
Loud
thinks?
said it. Loud said it. They're putting butts in seats. You get rid of AD, you don't put butts in seats.
Who cares? That stadium's already paid off on their
It's
half.
already paid off.
It's already. They don't need to fill butts and seats anymore. They got their ring. It's time to build for the future, man. Honestly, I love Aaron Donald. I respect him. I got a fist bump from him, and it was one of the happiest days of my life. But who
Speaking
cares?
of a Darnold, Sam Darnold very quietly has been signed by the San Francisco 49ers. Did anybody even know that happened?
Yeah, I saw that.
And look, and I'm so happy.
did
Look,
not.
there you go. That opens the doors for the Rams to win a couple of more games because they're going to trust Trey Lance and Sam Darnold. Go Rams.
Yeah.
Go Rams. And
They also
Geno,
added Javon Hargrave to the defense, ladies and gentlemen.
Geno
Javon
Smith-
Hargrave.
Yeah.
Geno
Sorry.
Smith is staying
The
in
best
Seattle.
defense
No
in
one's
the
moving the
NFL
ball.
Just got even better.
added Javon Hargrave.
I love you, Dad, but you are being blinded by your love from your own team. And
Don't
it's
bet
hard.
your fandom, Rocky.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, man. Rams will win 10 games this year by strength of program of who they
I'm writing all
play
this down.
Whoa. Wait a minute.
and quarterback.
The Seattle Seahawks
Suck.
have a boatload of draft picks, a serviceable
We
quarterback.
got two first rounders.
Serviceable quarterbacks.
What?
Serviceable quarterbacks.
Geno Smith was number 4 in
Right.
quarterback percentage last year.
He was
Uh,
And
great.
he's got
Two.
two of the best receivers in the NFL. He's
Metcalf,
got a
please.
great running game. They
Don't
have a
just-
good defense. They are the number one team in terms of rookie production from last year's draft. And they have a boatload of draft picks going into this season, including number 5 overall.
Yeah, these guys, Seattle's going to take over that league in
Seattle's
that
gonna
division
look
in 2 or 3
great.
years.
Next year, the 49ers with
Are going to be
Darnold,
even better this year.
the 49ers with Darnold, yeah, he's not great, but if they ask him to just do what Jimmy G does, who isn't good, then they could be fine with Darnold at quarterback. For God's sake, Purdy took him to almost the Super Bowl, and he's like 12 years old. So
He's only a year older than me, which puts that in perspective.
Yeah.
So
So,
you're going to shop Purdy, right, Christian? And
I
DK
would-
Metcalf is leaving Seattle. Geno Smith cannot pull
He
2
just
years
signed
in a
an
row. He's
extension.
not that kind of quarterback.
Yeah.
He won't be
you-
great again.
Okay, listen. They don't need to be great right now. All
got
they have to do,
paid.
it doesn't matter. For 3
over.
years, man. 3 years. Listen, all Seattle has to do is stay good, stay relevant, keep their players right now that are young, happy, and competitive. Then when you have a spot to get a division, not division one, I'm sorry, a tier 1 quarterback, that's when they get it.
I
Now
demand
is
that
not
we
the time for
replay
them to
this
win.
episode at playoffs. I demand that we replay this episode at
fine.
playoffs.
We will replay this right
we're
now.
gonna
When the
to.
Rams go 4 wins and for the whole season, I don't want to hear it again, man. I
So
love
I'll
the
do
Rams
it.
more than
Raiders
anyone.
Rams in the playoffs. Raiders Rams in the playoffs.
Oh, you're putting the
Seattle-
Rams. You're putting the Rams in the playoffs with 10 wins.
Yeah.
That
No,
division, man?
no
Yes.
respect for the NFC.
No, none. Not for the West.
They're not even
Not
going to
the
be
West.
third in their division.
Forget the
third
West,
in their
man. The
division.
rest of the NFC is
Can
the
we talk about a couple of teams that actually have realistic opportunities
Yes,
at winning
let's go
divisions,
with
please?
the Cowboys, please, who just added Stephon Gilmore. Now, him and Trayvon Diggs, does
Whoa.
that make that the best cornerback duo in the league?
What makes the best backfield? Yes. As far as their defensive backfield goes, yes.
Yeah, they made some really nice moves on defense, keeping some of their own guys. They let Zeke go. He's going to be
Yeah.
out of there, but his career is heading straight downhill, unfortunately. They need to add another running back. They need another wide receiver on that team and a tight end. They let Dalton Schultz go, and he has not re-signed as of yet. So But- they're doing some good things in Dallas.
Yeah, they're Ezekiel's gone, right?
Yeah, Zeke's gone.
Mhm.
Tony
Yeah.
Pollard's officially the number 1 guy there.
Yeah.
Okay,
Uh,
let's just, since we are a gambling show, let's point this out. The San Francisco 49ers are currently minus 185 to win the NFC West in 2023. The Rams are at plus 425. The Seahawks are at plus 400. The Cardinals are at plus 1,400. So they don't hate the Rams yet. But I think the odds makers are going to catch up with that. But the 49ers are the prohibitive favorite to win that division. And let's be clear, they had the best defense in the NFL, Jeremy, last year. They almost won that game at Philadelphia just with defense with no quarterback.
The favorite with an asterisk. What's the asterisk, Christian? Who's their quarterback? Who's their starting quarterback?
Right now, it's Trey Lance or Sam Darnold.
No, right. So there. Listen, they just you
do not need a top tier quarterback to win with that team. Look at the offense around them: Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, and then look at the defense. They only allowed 17 points a game all last season on average.
84 Bears defense is going to have a run for its money with the 49ers defense last year. They can be that good.
Listen, what have you always told me that wins championships, Dad? What always wins championships?
Defense, but you have to have.
Speaking of teams that have a chance to win,
even if Trey Lance is not a quarterback, Sam Darnold can get him there.
The Philadelphia Eagles lost defensive tackle Hargrave.
Yep.
Linebacker TJ Edwards, safety Marcus Epps, and running back Miles Saunders, 2 defensive tackles, and an offensive lineman whose names I can't recall. I didn't write them down.
These were all starters.
They were all starters.
Half of them were Pro Bowlers.
That's true.
Half of them Pro Bowlers.
That's true.
That team's being gutted. And guess what team has the highest difficulty of schedule next year, Jeremy?
The Eagles.
Philadelphia, yeah. But they also, luckily for them, their center's coming back. They were able to re-sign a couple of their own guys on the defense. They replaced Sanders with Rashad Penny, and they have 2 first-round picks coming up in the draft this year. So they're going to be able. They're losing guys, but they're in a good position with some of the guys they kept. They might still bring back that safety. Everyone, it's still a free agent.
Oh, they did.
So there's.
They're not going to have the same.
They're not going to be. No, the defense will be a little lack. I think they'll still be. They'll still be one of the better teams.
They still have, even with the loss that they have, they still have the best offensive line in the game. They still have the best offensive line in the game.
Right.
But it's not. Last year was their best chance to win a Super Bowl, and it's going to be really difficult for even to make it back into there.
No way they get back.
And now I think the biggest signing in the offseason, the Bengals got their guy. Orlando Brown Jr. is now in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I think that's a great move for them.
Yeah.
The best tackle in the game, man. And
they did lose both of their starting safeties, though.
Yeah.
So that's somewhere they're going to have to replace pretty quickly. Yeah, because they had 2 really good safeties and both have walked in free agency.
But the problem for Cincinnati wasn't defense in the games when they get into the playoffs. It was the offensive line could not protect Joe Burrow.
And Patrick Mahomes getting pushed out of bounds.
Yeah, that's going to be huge for Cincinnati to put him on that offensive line.
And now you have an anchor that protecting that blind side of Burrow.
Huge.
I think they're going to draft a couple more offensive linemen in this upcoming draft.
Absolutely.
The Bengals will be tough again. The Bills will be tough again. But Kansas City, I think, is still the favorite.
I'm going to say a bold move right now. Bills are fake contenders. The Bills are fake contenders.
What?
We hear this every year.
The Bills need more weapons.
They're the best team in the league. Josh Allen's the best quarterback in the league. He's a killer. The only real killer on that team, Stephon Diggs.
Okay,
they need more weapons.
The biggest dynamic change in that division is Aaron Rodgers going to the Jets. It hadn't been happening yet.
No. Here's the thing that I want to see. If I've seen in mock drafts, Buffalo taking Bijan Robinson, the running back from Texas. If they get a great running back, that is a really tough team to beat.
That's going to be a good division.
You know who I think could take Bijan with that number? Number
Dallas
10 pick? I think that Philadelphia has before anybody else. You add Bijan Robinson to that Philly offense. Ooh-wee. That'd be a
Yep.
crazy backfield. So that'd be
Good,
fun to
gonna be
watch.
good. The Jets are going to be very tough to beat in that division with Aaron Rodgers. Very tough to beat. All they need
Well,
to
in
do
any
and they got a
Aaron
triple A
Rodgers
quarterback.
doesn't play for the Jets.
Not yet. Not yet.
Yeah,
He-
will.
he said he
will
is.
by the time we start the season.
Yeah,
know,
I gotta
what
say.
would-
I was
ahead,
going to say,
Jeremy.
but as much as I hate to admit it, while we're still talking some free agency, the Denver Broncos have made some brilliant moves.
Oh,
With their
yeah.
offensive
Yeah.
Boy, did
line,
they get better.
adding Allen on the defensive end from Arizona. And I don't think they're done. I think they're going to move at least one or two of their wide receivers for some draft picks. And with that coach, they could be scary again. They could
I
be
hate to
good.
cut everyone off, but this is my time. Hijack the show. I want to say congratulations to Faith in Action, an organization I've been working with since I was 18 years old. Nonprofit of the year. They just won for banning for the city of Banning.
1 minute.
If anyone has any problems with homelessness, any problems with housing, please go visit Faith in Action in Sacramento Pass. Thank you guys very much for listening to your line. Any giving words
They're
before
amazing.
we leave?
They deserve that award. They deserve
Nothing a can of diesel fuel and a road flare can't cure.
Hey, listen, man.
Hey, check your emails. I sent you all the invite for the USFL Fantasy League.
Oh,
Yes.
Yes.
All right. This is Steer Line. Thank you guys. We'll see you next week.
I demand we replay this episode. Playoffs.
I demand it.